Your drug beast's lies to sell you drugging include foolish, unnecessary emotions needing chemical relief. Many psychology and recovery specialists detail positive thinking and meditations to help us choose constructive thoughts, which form happy emotions leading to healthy actions. Add to your personal lies list each emotion of frustration that needs drugs, and supplement your sources of healing truths with brief descriptions of and reasons for your most loving, optimistic emotions. Add to your arguments to defeat poisonous ideas all of your most wise, practical, accurate thoughts, each designed to choose wonderful emotions and actions in all areas of your life beyond just rejecting drug use, because they are all such powerful and delightful reasons to stay sober forever. Now, positive thoughts create happy emotions and plan and drive rewarding actions in short order. Keep watching for a simple meditation scheme to fuel the good life you're ditching drugs to achieve. Think, feel, and do gloriously. And how can your next thought be bad or propose harming yourself? Your new circle no longer vicious, but now delicious. Anger, despair, and self-destruction become unnecessary, unattractive, in fact, impossible. And yes, wonderful emotions may be chosen by calculating thoughts and helpful actions. The essence of introspective, detached meditation is an incredible freedom to choose to change your thoughts, emotions, and actions, each to fit your highest needs, to be wise, happy, and loving. Then reap a lifetime of benefits when your people, your world, and your health love you back. Keep watching for directions later. Now, let's focus on your low, foolish, fearful chemical crutches attempts to cripple your truest, highest, healthy heart and mind. Our next exercise, another long workout to prepare for the big game, again invites the enemy to hang around and fully express its scummy self. Let's gear up for our worst day, perhaps years hence, when evil will not be so quickly, easily dismissed. Then you'll need 10 reasons to destroy your insanity as no help and no fun. You'll win again and again with the helpful, happy ideas, emotions, and directions you prepared in advance. So it's time for Dave's Top 10 Lies for Falling Off the Wagon. For this little skit, I tend to focus on one of my bigger problems, alcohol. But remember, for all addictive drugs, one thing is universal: our bullshit excuses. To replace my lies for drinking with happy, healthy thinking, I won't disguise my boozing lies. I'll rise above with truth and love. Some of this answer your lies sobriety strategy is suggested by recognizing rational recovery's beast voice that tries to trick you into feeding your disease's craving for intoxication. My new word for the foolish pleasure of poisoning yourself. My other sources are AA, treatment clinics, and every loving person who reached out to me with their new insights forged in battles with old demons. Lie number 10 for falling off the wagon. A snootful would feel wonderful. Sure, until I'm drunk and begin destroying my life. Then the party is so over, and I feel so horrible. Lie number 9. I'm nervous and bored until I get a fix. Yes, no doubt my active using's constant withdrawal symptoms were relieved by more hair of the dog. But with that shit out of my system, except those dangerous, mesmerizing memories, I can avoid physical and psychological cravings by staying alcohol and drug-free and developing natural highs like projects, exercise, close relationships, and my rational, emotional, and spiritual programs for serenity and fascination. Lie number 8. Just one big party and then I will control or abstain at will. No, I'm an addict whose will vanish the second that chemical soaks my brain. My choice gone for likely years to life, or rather early bad death. In fact, failure now to block drugs' swan song with my symphony of truth causes my brain, then hands, to seize my death. Active addiction will not only be fatal to me, but often murders innocents on the roadway. Are not my own history and narrow escapes proof of any more relapses, even more terrible impending catastrophes? As are the millions of deadlier doomed who would not or could not recover as I can and will. Lie number 7 for falling off the wagon. Drinking or drugging is happiness. Yes, chemicals do offer a dizzy, temporary release, firing up flights of passive escape, but as I will always continue destroying all past progress and future hopes, my family and romantic love, my educational and professional prospects, spiritual and emotional joy, physical and financial health, and any hope for any future besides ever mounting disaster, I am left with the shame, impotence, loneliness, evil, despair, and miserable dying of active alcohol or drug addiction. Drinking is happiness? Whoopee! Lie number 6. Sobriety is somber, boring, and tiresome. Yes, higher functioning and responsibility, unavoidable without constant escape, has its dull moments. But your entire life is, on the whole, infinitely more fascinating, fulfilling, and fun than inebriation. Keep visiting self-help groups, even if it's only weekly. Listen and talk about the joy and hope of new love, your spiritual and emotional peace, and the energy, humor, exhilaration, wisdom, focus, and sheer happiness that keeps occurring in sobriety, even during the challenging first 2 years of situational and mental recovery. Achieve those couple of long ticks, and I'm truly on my way. I may or may not have the powerful tools to again end a relapse, quickly, slowly, or not at all. So I must not ever expect or invite the infinitely greater danger of reactivated physical and behavioral compulsion. If you read Rational Recovery, only be skeptical of Jack's breezy assurances that after moderate recovery length, you are well enough forever that continued recovery work is unnecessary, and you needn't be afraid of relapse because your RR education will invariably render it a minor bump in the road as you confidently reassert your rational power to continue recovery as you choose. Instead, remember what Jack overlooks and forgets, that a high percentage of people who stop regularly teaching their minds how to abstain don't. And we all know the world history of chemical death, that a major percentage of relapses are final and fatal. Another brilliant teacher's brain fart. Trust no one but yourself and your ongoing self-education. Sobriety is the glorious opposite of somber, boring, and tiresome. Health, freedom, and ability grow more delightful every day. My true calling is to always stay on this wonderful wagon that even many non-addicted people are not fully inspired to enjoy, from either God's love and wisdom or from their own and loved ones' minds and hearts, all guiding me to self-interest, care, and the incomparable rewards of kindness to others. Lie number 5. I can always recover after one more party. While both AA and RR reassure people that relapse need not be fatal, they fail to stress that such optimism is unwarranted, irresponsible, dangerous, and flat out wrong. Relapse begs for death and often achieves it. Drugs back in the system rapidly return one to the state only slightly exaggerated as powerless. Every addict may now be reaching their final crossroads, your last chance to choose either certain misery unto death with grievous harm to your family and perhaps innocence you wound or kill, or happiness with love in permanent recovery. Lie number 4. AA 12-step doctrine and complete subordination to a divine separate authority ordering me to serve him and others and never myself is the only way to be ethical and recover from addiction. In fact, most people recover with their independent personal power alone, without regular lessons or constant instructions from higher authorities, human or heavenly. Abstinence alone skyrockets your health, happiness, ability, wisdom, goodness, and yes, reverent spirituality too. Many, like me, are recovering self-care sensibility and ethics originally learned from my parents. Many others help me by example, searching for their own personal and interpersonal discovery, guided by love, which is, of course, God. Are not human thoughts, choices, and actions always necessary, even and especially to carry out God's will? I'll take good care of myself because God only acts through my hands and my muscles. His love must be mine, especially for you. Lie number 3. I don't really need to continue a daily defense of my sobriety and deliberately, as an exercise, summon my greatest powers to control my cleverest specific subversions poised inside, awaiting my neglect and planning relapse in a heartbeat. This isn't necessary because intermittent advice from and duty to others and my assumption of superior habits and holiness, I expect to keep me permanently strong and safe. Oh, really? And since when did abandoning self-observation, self-control, and regular active training up to my strong, smart, healthy potential work well for me in any critical, permanent project? Lie number 2. I can always resume my recovery after one more binge. Oops, lie number 5, back again. No, most addicts in recovery tell others that they were dangerously close to, if not already beyond, another lucky opportunity to rebuild a good life before it is forever gone. My latest drugging disaster before my current inspiration to recover could well have been my proverbial bottom, my final bounce back, my last chance to choose happiness and love in permanent recovery. Yet every day that other road to misery, abuse, and death remains open and well marked with old, habitual, emotional, compulsive ruts carved to steer me the wrong way. Shall I gamble that I can rumble down my highway to hell once more and then, at the last second, again find recovery before it is too late? It would make more sense to spend my way into bankruptcy because I'm planning to win the lottery, to jump off a cliff because I can fly. And the number one lie for falling off the wagon: I can't resist my desire to get high. That's right. I can't take a lick of frustration. Wah! Well, millions hooked worse than me can. So especially on my worst, lowest day, I will still never again touch that charming devil. Are not my physical cravings gone? Does not psychological desire abate in minutes, if not seconds, when I clearly describe my complete destruction from my very next dose, and my heaven on earth so reachable without touching poison? So every day I'll listen briefly to my deep nonsense about safe poisoning, blow it up with a huge laugh, and then plan activities that are constructive, fun, relaxing, and sometimes all three. I'll remember my ever-growing accomplishments and joys thanks to my wonderful new capacity for work, play, growth, and love in sobriety. My greatest desire, passion, and joy is for the intoxication of my love in action, not just sitting and stinking. So, tempting evil, I will throttle and step away from the bottle. I read something recently that says more in a single page to reveal your beast's lies and your drug-wrecked emotional needs, and offers more foundation for your addictive voice recognition training than I'll illuminate in 100 videos. I hear you screaming, "No!" The author remains as anonymous as the fellowship. I only take mild issue with his or her idea that alcoholism doesn't come in bottles. The toxic, addictive drug itself plays a major role in entrapment, especially of the genetically susceptible. But this amazing author turns addiction's essence as emotional traitor into tragedy, poetry, wisdom, and if you only will, glorious power of recovery of divine and human redemption. Why I don't drink when I'm sober. How come you don't drink anymore? A renewed acquaintance from long ago asked me the other day. Any more than who? I mean, any longer. How come you don't drink anything these days? Drink? I drink coffee, milk, tea, soda pop, water, fruit juices. I mean drink, he said. You know, booze. Oh, booze. No, I don't drink booze anymore. You're right. I said, I couldn't trust it anymore. It turned on me. Once my friend, it became my enemy. Maybe you got a bad batch, he said. No, the sauce is the same. I changed. Because I have the disease of alcoholism, my tolerance weakened. Alcoholism doesn't come in bottles. It comes in people. Sounds pretty confusing. You think you're confused, I said. You should have seen me. I drank for happiness and became unhappy. I drank for joy and became miserable. I drank to be outgoing and became self-centered. I drank for sociability and became argumentative and lonely. I drank for sophistication and became crude and obnoxious. I drank for friendship and made enemies. I drank to soften sorrow and wallowed in self-pity. I drank for sleep and awakened without rest. I drank for strength and felt weak. I drank medicinally and got sick. I drank because I thought my job called for it and lost my job. I drank for relaxation and got the shakes. I drank for confidence and became uncertain. I drank for courage and became afraid. I drank for assurance and became doubtful. I drank to stimulate thought and blacked out. I drank to make conversation and tied my tongue. I drank for warmth and lost my cool. I drank for coolness and lost my warmth. I drank to feel heavenly and came to know hell. I drank to forget and became haunted. I drank for freedom and became a slave. I drank for power and became powerless. I drank to erase problems and saw them multiply. I drank to cope with life and invited death, or worse. I drank because I had the right and everything turned out wrong. Gosh, my friend explained, that must have taken a bunch of booze to get you in that shape. Just one, I told him. The first one. For me, one's too many and 1,000's not enough. So that's why you don't drink anymore? Yep, I made it a rule. I don't drink when I'm sober. Well, my listeners, do you notice that the author's rule applies even more urgently to you and I in recovery? Just one more, or relapse, is suicide or murder, but way more protracted and abusive than simply shooting yourself. A sick and silly enough action to end your magnificent, loving progress. Well, most of that long-suffering but newly wise drunk's addictive self-betrayals nailed my sorry past. How about you? And most of my real needs and virtues are on the way to being fulfilled without drugs. And thus, simple sobriety, not moral perfection, is my huge, essential life's need. So let's make this purity of nutritious, not poisonous substance intake our desire, motive, and action. Just as most of our parents' healthy love did for us before technology forced upon us weaponry, power, including financial corruption and toxic drugs. Now, I must say, in great appreciation to this anonymous, powerful, beautiful author, that it is you and 1,000 other of God's human miracles of redemption who do most of my thinking for me. Now I realize every day of my wonderful new life that only continuing my sobriety, permanent abstinence from all addicting drugs, will give me happiness, extroversion, sociability, sophistication, friendships, sleep, strength, health, gainful work, relaxation, confidence, courage, assurance, intelligent and practical thought, conversation, warmth, cool, relief, coping, hope, a future, progress, family, security, peace, fulfillment, and power. Not to mention getting fun, frolic, and my sexy back. So, every time you offer me a drinky poo, beast, I'll politely, graciously decline. No thanks. Asswipe. Most AA 5-minute monologues we're calling active addiction emphasize step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol or any addicting drug, that our lives had become unmanageable. At meetings, everyone describes our drugging history of ever-worsening life disaster, now recalled with our new recovering wisdom, lightened with gentle but pointed laughter against our sick, silly old selves, and we arrive at our new bottom line. I won't allow my hell back ever again. And in many little talks, all of us celebrate my new sober power, progress, and happiness of my able present and climbing future. Do try our related little homework to checkmate every inevitably returning compulsion's gambit demanding relapse. Then tell your AA class or rehab colleagues hearing your eloquent speech destroying your monster that you will repeat it word for word later when you are far from this safe therapeutic room in your lowest minute of highest danger, seconds from your dealer's supply. Without rehearsing alone every day, AA's step 1 insisting that we review and relearn our history so as to never repeat it, most addicts are doomed to die 26 years early. Recall your beast's worst, most powerful lie that drugs' dopamine bursts assure our survival and happiness. If you listen to my videos entitled How to Save the World, How to Make Our Leaders Loving, Just, and Peaceful, you'd be horrified but fascinated to realize that patriarchy's war power system is built on and sold with the exact same lie that only addictive, toxic, violent tyranny achieves our survival and peace, and not merely their rich, murderous, public parasite careers. We genetic, recovering addicts must regularly tell our story to ourselves more than to others. That for us, drugs are death, not life. From the day we quit for good, we find, live, and daily tell ourselves our new, opposite, present, and future story of our growing, unquenchable passion to survive and thrive. Finally, we must hold up our future, our crystal ball, aflame with conviction, confidence, hope, love, plans, discipline, philosophy, and method, to addiction's murderous last word and command, forget. We'll always reply, especially alone to ourselves, remember my deadly past, miraculous recovery, and intentional, achievable, heavenly potential. As long as I remember then and love now without end, then how could that pathetic beast ever again make my infinitely more powerful higher brain and heart and soul go still and silent to again buy its lies, to summon my hands, to seize and slam its dope, my poison. Not in my lifetime, baby, which is my heaven, not just awaiting, but here now for the taking. I have a question for those who believe that only God rescues addicts who keep 12-stepping for divinity. If repetition of saintliness is the most potent destroyer of acting on evil desire, then please explain hundreds of eloquent priests molesting and destroying thousands of little boys. Most rehab has always been other people thinking, talking, advising, and directing, not you getting to work inside. Most all homework given us is religion and self-effacement, not your direct attacks on your monster. Bad schools and bad students always neglect your creative expression of personally powerful ideas and never require your own rehearsal of skills you'll need under pressure to succeed. Throw lecture against brain. Will it stick when you need it? Even if you don't spend 5 minutes a day rebuilding and reclaiming this knowledge as yours? Not likely. In fact, hell no. When we must succeed against a killer enemy without a second's slip in 50 years, other, even heavenly direction doesn't cut it for most of us. Bring your army and your inspiration of God if you surely find it, but you still must use your very own brilliant, loving, higher mind to confront twisted instincts. Your malady weakens and weakens forever when fully explored and controlled by you. God and human authorities beautifully guide some recoveries, but all addiction can and must be primarily defeated by your true, superior, thinking, working, highest human self. Take over your recovery. You, the man. You go, girl. Love. There is no doubt that healthy, caring, necessary, ethical human thought and action, and all personal recovery ideas, including my emphasis on self-training, are founded on love. Let's look at each kind of love so tightly bound to our survival, happiness, and kindness that keeps coming back. Before starting on my little love essay, obviously slanted to my opinion that your natural love before his supernatural love must be most people's first priority. I will again focus on that worst one of 1,000 temptations, and the idea that a sponsor, expert, or deity can always be depended upon, is always on call to rescue you. This dangerous, distracting exaggeration is no small factor in countless terminal relapses. Millions of dependent people likewise eventually fail to prevent their fast, final, fatal renewal of their deadliest dependency, active drug addiction. Only your own independent, highest intellectual power, kept sky high with regular word-for-word practice, can be depended on to master and defeat your permanently persuasive relapse beast. Now, about love. Let's break it down. First, there is love of self, that pious authorities keep trashing, remember? Loving your own qualities, abilities, beauties, beliefs, and pleasures, plus love of food, water, air, rest, and muscle stimulation. All sustaining delights unmatched, in fact destroyed by drug addiction. Poison yourself, and all real, not illusory, self-love and self-actualization are dead, and soon you too. Second, there is love of our family, friends, and colleagues, and the ultimate powerful joy of romance and mate. Especially our love of work and all it builds for us and others, especially our own family's needs and rewards. And every other intellectual, athletic, artistic, social, charitable, and political endeavor that gives our lives and social and civil contributions meaning, purpose, ethical reward, and adventure. Poison yourself, and every interpersonal love, accomplishment, and all further hopes are dead and gone. Third, along the way, we find love of good or God, illuminating our philosophy of human ethics, elevating us to the divine kindness of the living universe, even amid sadness, pain, and evil, calling for our strongest, most compassionate battles to help others overcome. When chained to our twisted, mutated love of chemicals, all human love and every whisper of godly communication and guidance too is destroyed, forever replaced with evil, mounting disaster of human harm and unnecessary invited suffering. Thankfully, with full common sense and quick daily examination, we keep crushing that sick poison crush for good with our greatest, realest love. Now, to do each of our loves the most justice, in which order do we rank, prioritize, and act upon them? In baseball terms, who's on first? Religious philosophy, supervising most addiction recovery organizations and clinics, puts love, worship, and obedience to God above all human love, often virtually demonizing self-love. Serve Him first, and then He'll direct your second priority, altruism, or love, service, and care for just other people. Last comes your personal happiness and achievements, which we all can agree are, to a large part, wonderfully enhanced by your spiritual and human generosity. Your worship, obedience, reverence, and kindness are first deemed necessary to effect and ensure the subordinate priority of ending drugs' destruction of yourself. Your virtue is the really big deal. This doctrine states that only your powerful, persistent performance for God, others, and your selfless reforms can keep you sober. Fail enough of the recommended moral duties, and a disease only vanquished by the complex holiness of the 12 steps must invariably come roaring back. Yet, if we even casually scan the 20 million addicted, the far fewer millions who look for any help, the several million who cure themselves, and perhaps the single million, maybe more, who stay with the religious cure, then it becomes apparent that AA's pious love priorities work magnificently for the fabulous 5%. For us other 19 million, doomed without a human also self-loving plan, their mystical, magical, selfless order of loving is exactly ass backwards. So, first, not last, love yourself. And for primary cause of your real redemption, not just your blessing from authorities for following their divine and public service rules. First, smash that drug beast for your life. Then, more heaven, God, and love and beauty to and from others than you can possibly treasure and celebrate are yours right here on earth for 26 years longer than if you let your nemesis feed you one more dose. So, who's on next? How about all those versatile human achievements from love of mate, family, work, and friends, plus our other world-enhancing and God-delighting pursuits? Because every single thing we do to benefit others certainly proves and elevates our love of good or God, bonding us in action to the divine kindness of the living universe. Continue to nail down the beautiful, generous human life, and you will wrap all your love up with a bow, reverence for and communication with your God of love. You're already doing everything that he or she asks. Life was not primarily created to worship its designer, but to love and protect itself, especially with passion and joy and care in loving and being loved by other active, physical, vulnerable, needy, living beings. The immortal accomplishments of our Christian or any other religion's God are only achieved through and by us, by opening our divine and human fountain of love until we together suffer less and delight more. And isn't that just why you listeners of my How to Save the World videos, as well as you prospective participants in our recovery exercise research, have both decided to work with me to rescue our hurting, endangered brethren and encourage them to rescue us? Silly writers who infiltrate otherwise holy books aside, God serves us, not his own egotistical grand popularity. Worship love by doing it, he says, and I'll be just fine. But without your joy in and kindness for each other, I'm nothing but an unhappy cloud, bored, disappointed, angry, and miserable. Just remember what I'm God of. Suffer through my speeches once a year or two to keep on to all your beasts' lies and to keep destroying them with your history, your love, and your future joy. Kill that ogre with the ultimate kindness of way bigger thrills. Like girls, it just wants to have fun. Give it good, clean fun. Well, or as Ronald Reagan used to say, well, that's love, boys and girls.